But first, almost 7,000 Afghan nationals are being relocated to the UK following a huge data breach by a civil servant who mistakenly sent an email exposing the personal information of close to 20,000 people, potentially endangering them and their families, with as many as 100,000 impacted in total. Successive governments have tried to keep the breach a secret with a court super injunction, but Defence Secretary John Healey has warned against a witch hunt of the person who leaked the email. But is it in our interest that they be named, Kelly?
I don't know necessarily about naming him, because we know what that can cause, and I wouldn't want that person to be subjected to any kind of violent attacks or anything like that, especially in the climate that we currently live in. But my concerns are more about the costs of that mistake. So the leak is understood to have cost $400 million to relocate the victims. Now, I've got no problem with relocating the victims because, you know, this mistake has happened and their safety's at risk. So there's no argument about them being relocated. And they were actually promised that in the beginning, you know, for the services that they provided. It says a further $850 million has been set aside to complete the resettlement of those affected. And if all 18,000 soldiers make a successful claim, the compensation bill could be as high as $940 million. Now, for me, that's a huge expense. Now, if I make a mistake, I pay for it. In my place of working practice, if I make a mistake, I pay for it. This person has made a mistake. He's not going to pay for it. I'm sure that on his wages, he hasn't got that kind of money. You know, who has? I understand that. But it's about who pays the bill, who foots the bill for your mistake. That's my concern. I'm a taxpayer, just like everybody else is, and I think tax is taxing. I know, despite what the advert says, it is taxing. And the current climate that we're living in terms of the cost of living, etc., etc., tax is really tough for us all to pay. And we've got other things to be paying for, our NHS, our police service. We could be here a long time. So that's my main concern, is your mistake, but I'm paying for it.
Yeah, I get that. Janet, what do you think?
Well, the issue is here that when the mistake was made in February 2022, the government decided to issue a super injunction, so there was a news blackout, information blackout, as they tried to sort out the mess. And it seems to me that by using this draconian law, which in my opinion was completely wrong, and it's the kind of law that footballers use when they don't want their, you know, double dealings to be in the pages of the tabloids, their love lives plastered all over the tabloids. It seems completely inappropriate to use it for government business like this, and to shut down all the media, all of Fleet Street, all the national press weren't allowed to talk about it. Because we should have been in on the story. We should have known about it because, as Kelly has pointed out, it's a vast expense and it is our money. Whether we would have done it any differently, I don't know. But I just can't understand the mentality of not going public about it, because the fact of the matter is...
Probably for this reason. Probably for this reason.
Well, yes, and the fact of the matter is it now emerges that the people, the Taliban anyway, knew about the list by then, so why are we keeping it quiet? If the Taliban back in Kabul know about this list and know about the names of people who are vulnerable, British taxpayers mysteriously don't know and don't know what's going on. That can't be right.
I think the thing for me, it's not, you know, this mistake that has been made, you can say it's a small mistake of, you know, they didn't mean to, but the consequences are massive. And it just makes me kind of think, well, if it's so easy for someone to just press send, to press an email, how easy is it to somebody to just press send on a button that ends everything? And there's obviously no controls or no protocols. They said he was under the command of a general. Well, that commander couldn't have been there, but I think that, you know, as I've said, I'm in charge of a charity, and you can't send anything until 3 people have actually looked at it and checked that it's OK. So I think that there's a massive fall down and data breach and data leak, which is just the beginning of...
And also, this is at a time when the armed services were moaning and moaning and moaning that they didn't have enough money to equip our armed forces properly. We didn't have enough weaponry. We didn't have enough tanks and blah, blah, blah. And now, where is this money coming from? It's not coming from the armed services budget. It's going to come out of the budget for hospitals, housing, you know, transport and everything else. There isn't some magic money pot that Rachel Reeves has got hidden under the counter for, you know, a young army officer sending an email by mistake. And nobody ever takes the blame for anything, do they? They just don't seem to be able to. No, people don't put their hand up and go, look, I was the senior officer, I was the highest person in command of that element of the armed forces. I carry the can. That seems to me an old-fashioned concept that's gone out of the window.
Well, we've had a comment here from the MOD Defence Secretary John Healey. He said we had to sort out a situation we'd not had access to dealing with before. Basically, it was the other government. He said, we're not going to launch a witch hunt or point the finger at him. This goes much bigger than the mistaken actions of a single individual. My job as Defence Secretary a year ago was to get on top of the problems that I inherited. So hopefully he's taken control of it now and he's basically going to try and sort it out. But I agree with him that you can't name the guy that, I mean, you know, sent the email, really.
Yeah, I think if you are the Defence Secretary, you say, I've taken charge of the situation, someone has taken the blame, not the actual lower down the food order, pecking order person. The boss has taken the blame and that person is. And then I say, and in future, this is what we do to prevent it happening again. So let's hear that.
Yeah. Well, on to more news of the day now, and the two men who chopped down the irreplaceable Sycamore Gap tree have each been jailed for 4 years and 3 months. Daniel Michael Graham and Adam Carruthers, both from Cumbria, were convicted of criminal damage after filming themselves using a chainsaw to illegally cut down the tree by Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland. Whilst many have praised the sentence, some have suggested it's too strong when our prisons are fuller than ever. Janet, what do you think?
I think their sentence wasn't strong enough. I would have tripled it. When that tree was felled, I cried and I was absolutely distraught. I've walked Hadrian's Wall. I know Northumberland extremely well. I thought it was a violent, mindless act, and it was absolutely savage. Now, I don't want to see them incarcerated because, as we've said, the prisons are completely full. But what I'd like to suggest is the government appoints... They've got a prison minister who's John Timpson, who's very, very good. What we need now is a punishment minister who takes charge of crimes like this and the sentencing of crimes like this and finds an appropriate punishment that's creative and deters other people and doesn't involve locking people up. So I think this idiotic pair should be forced to work for 10 years for the Forestry Commission, the Woodland Trust or Nature England, planting trees day in and day out.
I agree. I was quite shocked at how long the sentence was, not because I don't think it was a terrible, terrible crime, but considering, for instance, that 8 out of 10 people in the UK caught with images of children being sexually abused avoid even going to jail. I just thought, what is going wrong here with the justice system? I mean, that was a terrible crime, but I think you're right. I think they should be made to do what you said they should do. But, I mean, we're always going on about the prisons are full. And, you know,
the problem is that crime has no consequences now. So everybody, you know, from what I can gather from these two guys, they filmed it and they were joking about how they'd done it and everything else. It's just like there has to be some consequence for people to not reoffend. And Janet saying 10 years, for me, that's not enough. If the tree was 150 years old, you spend the rest of your life building trees. I don't know.
What do you think, Kel?
I was really saddened. So I was with my children when we watched it on the news, and my little one was just crying because she was like, why would anybody want to hurt a tree? The tree's not done anything to you or anybody. You know, it's provided, mental health solace. It's, this picturesque, beautiful thing of nature that has taken hundreds of years to be built. Why would you? She just couldn't understand it, and I was like, I have no explanation for you. And that's the other thing. They haven't even explained the reason that they did that and caused all of this. I mean, they even caused like £100,000 worth of damage to Hadrian's Wall whilst they were at it. I just find it's really saddening for me to think that they've gone out of their way, driven over whatever it was, 30 miles or something, through a storm with the intent, because they went with the instrument to do it. It's like, why would you do that?
Well, I think they've probably thought, oh, even if we get caught, we'll get a slap on the wrist. I bet they're very shocked they've got 4.5 years in prison, and maybe that is a good deterrent for anyone else.
There was a young boy that was
going
to be charged with it, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
Oh, it's all been very... a bit too serious for me, that first part. Anyway, still to come...